All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping right into a huge fight brewing up in New Hampshire. It's a classic showdown that pits a powerful new technology against the old-school tradition of local community control. Yep, it's a story about Bitcoin, but it's really a story about who gets to call the shots.
And really, this whole thing boils down to one huge question. Should the folks living in a community get the final say on what kinds of businesses can set up shop in their backyards? Or, when a new industry like crypto mining comes knocking, should the state step in and say, hey, we're making the rules for everyone, even if it goes against what a local town wants? Okay, so the thing causing all this drama, it's a piece of legislation called House Bill 639, and it's designed to do one thing: make New Hampshire a super attractive, friendly place for the cryptocurrency industry.
Now, before we dig into what the bill actually says, we gotta be on the same page about what crypto mining even is. Picture these giant warehouses just packed with super powerful computers, all running 24/7. They're all racing to solve these incredibly complex math puzzles. The first one to crack it gets to validate a bunch of transactions and, as a reward, gets some brand new crypto. And yeah, this whole process uses a ton of energy.
So what's the big deal with this bill? Well, it basically tells towns and cities, hands off. You can't treat crypto mining any differently than other data centers. That means no special rules about noise, no extra local taxes, and definitely no banning it. It even wants to create a special fast lane in the court system just for crypto disputes. It's like they're trying to roll out a statewide red carpet for the crypto industry, and they're doing it by taking power away from local towns.
All right, so you're probably wondering, why are people pushing so hard for this? Well, for them, it's all about sending a message, a really strong pro-business message.
The folks who support this bill, they frame it as an issue of fairness. Plain and simple. They're seeing other states put up walls and regulations against crypto, and they're basically saying, not here, not in New Hampshire. They see this as protecting a new, innovative industry from being choked out before it even gets a chance to grow.
And this quote from Senator McGaugh, it just perfectly sums up their whole argument. He's saying, look, remember the 90s? The internet seemed kind of scary and new then too. Their big fear is that if they overregulate crypto now, New Hampshire could totally miss the boat on the next big tech revolution, just like some places missed out on the internet boom. But, and this is a big but, as soon as the public got wind of what was actually in this bill, the reaction was, well, it was explosive. This wasn't some quiet debate happening in the State House. This thing sparked a genuine uproar from people all over New Hampshire.
I mean, the scale of the opposition was just staggering. When a state senator says something like this, that it's the most emails she's ever gotten on a single bill, it's not just a few people complaining. We're talking about a flood of messages from everyday citizens who were seriously worried.
And look, these weren't just some vague complaints. People were worried about real-world stuff. The constant loud humming noise from all those cooling fans, the massive strain on the local power grid. But maybe the biggest one of all? The feeling that the state was taking away their right to decide what their own town looks and sounds like.
And to really get your head around that energy concern, check this out. According to one analysis, the power needed for just one Bitcoin transaction could run an average American home for over 6 weeks. So yeah, when you hear a number like that, you can see why folks were getting a little worried about their electric bills and the local power grid.
So all that public outcry, it had a real direct impact. It basically slammed the brakes on the whole legislative process. The bill's journey through the state Senate turned out to be anything but a smooth ride. The bill just completely hit a brick wall. First, it got bounced back to committee in May. Then, after a whole summer of lobbying, the Commerce Committee was totally deadlocked. They couldn't agree. In the end, they just voted to kick the can down the road and study it more. Basically, the public spoke up and it worked. The bill's momentum just died. So this whole thing really boils down to two completely different ways of looking at the world, right? On one side, you've got this vision of New Hampshire as a hub for innovation, pushing for economic growth and being open to new things. And on the other side, you've got people who are saying, wait a minute, what about our towns, our environment, and our right to have a say? It's a fundamental clash of priorities. And it's really important to understand this isn't just some quirky thing happening in New Hampshire. This exact same fight is playing out all over the country as crypto mining starts to expand. I mean, just look at Arkansas. They tried something similar, passed a pro-crypto bill, and then got hit with so much backlash over noise that they started trying to walk it back. Or look at New York, where some places have just put a full stop, a moratorium on new mining operations. So what we're seeing in New Hampshire, It's not an isolated incident. It's part of a huge national conversation. Now, to be fair, the industry itself isn't just sitting on its hands here. There's data showing a pretty big shift in where they get their power. The amount of energy from coal has dropped dramatically over the last decade, with a bigger move toward renewables. The overall energy use is still huge, don't get me wrong, but this trend shows that the industry is at least trying to respond to all this pressure. And all of this really brings us to a final thought from New Hampshire's Governor, Kelly Ayotte. She's open to the economic opportunity for sure, but she insists that there have to be responsible guardrails. And her words just capture the whole debate perfectly. The real question isn't if we should embrace new tech, it's how. How do you encourage innovation without steamrolling local communities and the environment? And that's the big question that New Hampshire and really the whole country is still trying to figure out.